This is Adel Rushali from Sana'a University, the Water and Environment Center. We will talk today about groundwater in political domain, part of the CoCooN project in Yemen, activities 2010-2014, and reflections. Our main topic will be diesel subsidies during Yemen's political crisis 2011. Especially the impact of diesel subsidies on groundwater pumping before, during, and after the political change process of the year 2011 in Yemen. If I had a look about the water resources of Yemen, Yemen annual renewable water resources is about 2.5 billion cubic meter. The total water use is 3.4 billion cubic meter per year. 1.5 of it considered as runoff in the wadis, while the rest 2.4 billion cubic meter abstracted from groundwater. If we know that the annual groundwater recharge is about 1.5 billion cubic meter, so the annual groundwater depletion is 0.9 billion cubic meter. Low diesel price until 2011, Yemen was among the countries with the lowest diesel prices in the world. The most significant factor for aquifer depletion is the government policy on diesel subsidies. Low diesel price resulted in large-scale pumping of groundwater for irrigation purposes. As a consequence, a complex relation has evolved between cropping patterns, groundwater pumping rate, groundwater management rules, farmers, and players in the crop marketing chain. The objective of this study is to analyze the link and interactions between diesel subsidies, groundwater pumping, and cropping pattern within political domain. Yemen groundwater is used to be unsustainable because of the continued and accelerated depletion of aquifers. The aquifer depletion is provoked by, in reality, the inability of the government to control and manage abstraction of the groundwater. Since the first well tube drilled in Yemen at 1960s, the number of tube wells reached 70,000 by 2009. As shown in the two figures appear for Wadi Asir and Wadi Sordud, we can note how much the intensity of the drilled wells in the both wadis, Wadi Asir and Wadi Sordud, that appear as dark points in the figures. This rapid depletion of groundwater had a consequences of rapid declining rate per year in many aquifers around all the Yemen Republic, that put several aquifers under critical situations as Sana'a, where the declining water table reached 8 meters per year. Also Saada Basin, where the declining of the groundwater table reached about 6 meters. Also Tihama, the declining of groundwater table vary from 1 to 3 meters per year. Amran record the declining of groundwater table is about 3 meters, wherein at Taiz the groundwater table decline by about 2 meters per year. Also, we have the ratio between withdrawals and recharge of the aquifer. This ratio give uh, uh, indicator as indication for the how much the critical situation of such aquifer. As in Sana'a, this ratio reached 5.3. In Tihama, the ratio between withdrawals and recharge in Taiz recharge 3, while in Rada the stop. As a negative consequences of rapid groundwater depletion, there is a falling of groundwater table in shallow aquifers, also disappearing of springs. Complete farms communities had to leave their villages. Intrusion of saline water in the downstream area bordering the Red Sea coast. If you look to the past, during the 60s, the Yemen adopted an economic development plan, which totally depended on the agriculture activities. And to support the improvement or the increasing of agriculture activities, the government had take decision to subsidy the diesel fuel to provide also the engine of required for pumping groundwater. This caused rapid shifting from traditional surface runoff irrigation to groundwater irrigation. Groundwater irrigated crop area increased from 37,000 hectares in 1970s to 400,000 hectares in 2005. The area under cash crops increased from 3% in 1970s to 14% in 2010. The production of high-value fruits and vegetables increased 20 times from 40,000 tons in 1970s to 800,000 tons in 2010. Slight increase during this long period in the diesel price from 10 to 50 real. That's represent about from 0.06 to 0.23 US dollar, which is still far from the import cost and the local cost of the diesel that sold inside the Yemen. So the main questions that posed here strongly: was it wrong to build a development plan bounding on agriculture in Yemen? Was it wise to subsidy diesel fuel? During the Arab Spring 2011 political crisis was engulfed in severe way in 2011 in Yemen. This crisis resulted in violent conflicts and weakened the government control. Also, it affecting the fuel marketing chain, including cut off fuel imports and partial or complete shutdown of the local refineries. The methodology of this study depended on rapid assessment done during the 2011 diesel crisis. Two sorts of data were used in this study. The first primary data was collected through a rapid field assessment conducted in 6 different regions using 4 sets of questionnaires for farmers, fuel stations owners, agriculture products wholesalers, and for diesel sellers in black market. The secondary data was collected from relevant government resources, which include National Oil Company, Central Statistical Organization, and the General Division of Agriculture Statistics. We choose 6 locations to be under investigation. The first was Damar and Rada. It represent the highlands region with intensive wheel irrigation for cotton and vegetables as main crops. The second one was Wadi Hadramaut, which represent well irrigation, main crops sorghum, wheat, dates, tomatoes, potatoes, onion, and alfalfa. Also, we chose South Tihama, Wadi Zabid, supplemental well irrigation existed there. Main crops are mango and banana. Sana'a Basin, which represent most water-stressed basins with main crops as cod, grapes, and vegetables. Saada Basin, which represent typical complicated water crises, main crops, pomegranates. North of Tihama, the last one, very poor farmers use well irrigation for millet, sorghum, sesame, cotton, some fruits, and vegetables. These 6 locations appear here in the figure. One is Damar and Rada, number 2, Wadi Hadramaut, number 3, Southern Tihama region, Wadi Zabid, number 4, Sana'a Basin, number 5, Saada Basin, number 6, Northern Tihama Basin. The cropland varies from about 1 to 1.5 million hectares according to amount of rainfall. More than 2/3 of agricultural land located in the mountains region. Yemen is heavily dependent on imported cereals. Between 1990s and 2010, the crop area of food orchard, vegetables, fruits, and cash crop increased by 172, 190, 79, 68%, and 57% respectively. Among all crops, most of the land under groundwater irrigation is planted with cod. Cod cultivation has spread to cover a tenth of total cropland. At that time, diesel subsidies bill in Yemen budget remains large, around 10% of GDP in 2012, 8% of GDP in 2008, 20% of GDP in 2007. More than total spending on education, health, social transfers, and represent about the diesel subsidies represent about 69% of fuel subsidies. The diesel subsidy not only drains the government revenue but also makes pumping groundwater at low cost and giving farmers no incentives to conserve groundwater. The two figures here show the consumer diesel prices in real per liter compared to the international prices in the period between 2005 and 2012. Figure A represents the variation of diesel price, while figure B represents the gasoline price. As it appears here, the black line represents the cost of diesel price that varied between the beginning of Jan 2005 until May 2012. The blue dashed one line represents the international price, and the red dashed line represents the price of diesel that being sold locally inside Yemen. We can see how much the gap between the red line of the local price and the black line, the cost of the diesel that the government subsidy to import it from outside Yemen. And this gap between the two lines is equal to the amount of subsidy. We can note that between the period of September 2008 and August 2009, the amount of subsidy paid by the government for imported diesel is quite the lowest, while the increasing that had been happened until the May 2012 is equal to the one of June 2011, and also the period of October 27. Also, we have the inequity distribution impact that in rural areas, 29.8% of households use more than 200 liters of diesel monthly, while 10.7% of rural in the poorest category consume less than 25 liters per month. The enter between the two categories, that means the category of the consumers that consume between 25 and 200 liters per month, represent about 60% of the users. But in general, 40% of the subsidies, the subsidized diesel goes to richest farmers or richest consumers. We have also still within the duration before the crisis 2011, the cut impact. If we know that the annual average income of the cut farmer exceeds 375,000 real, that's mean about 1,700 US dollar, what equals twice the national average of per capita income. Also, the cut annual turnover reached 472 billion. That's equal 1.15 billion USD, equal to 10% of GDP and more, and 1/3 of the agriculture GDP, contribution of the agriculture in GDP. The profitability of cut group is 5 times higher than the grapes and 20 times higher than the potatoes income. And that's appear in the figure down. Also, what characteristic the period before the crisis 2011, the smuggling of diesel power, there are powerful, or there were powerful groups smuggling of subsidized diesel to the Horn of Africa. Extremely high levels of apparent diesel consumption in coastal governorates, especially Hadramaut, Hodeida. The apparent per capita also diesel consumption is well above the national average, which is 157 liters per capita, what equal to 418 liters per capita for Hadramaut at the period of 2010. If we summarize the causes of diesel crisis, including that one of 2011, we have oil pipelines pumped by armed groups, also blockage of roads and seizing trucks. Also, those both points happened especially during the period of crisis 2011. And we have also as a general causes or reasons, the diesel smuggling to neighbor countries and the illegal diversion of diesel allocation, outspreads of rumors and coming up fuel shortages, fluctuation in demand in different times of the year, and the occurrence of technical faults in national refineries, financial and marketing management faults on the side of NOC, National Oil Company. Very long queue in front of fuel stations. Waiting times vary between 3 days until weeks. Many violent conflicts over diesel, causing deaths and injuries. Government had no control to regulate distribution and the price of diesel. Diesel amount in the MAR decreased by 30%, and the amount of diesel marketed by each fuel station decreased from 12 tankers per month until it reached only 2 tankers. Fuel station owners sell diesel on black market for a more profitable prices. The feelings of insecurity pushes some consumers to buy diesel from black market. This also uh, make increasing the existing of black marketing and the profitability coming from it. The diesel price in black market, if it found, reached 500 real per liter. So new vendors started with profitability of diesel trade like taxi drivers, water tankers, small farmers, car sellers, some fuel station owners. The government adopted certain procedures to control diesel on the black market, such as assure diesel supply to important public services, providing diesel supplies through local councils, ban of diesel sale in roads, but these procedures was felt especially outside main towns. During the crisis, the if we look for the farmer response, the farmers adapted to crisis by reducing pumping duration hours and also by reducing operating times. In Sana'a and Saad as examples, pumping hours were reduced by 38, 36.5, 44, and 58% for spring, summer, autumn, and winter seasons. Average consumption of diesel decreased by 42.2, 48, 50, and 60% for 4 seasons. Irrigation times for cut were reduced from 3 to 2 times during spring, from 4 to 2 times during summer, and 4 to 1 time during autumn and winter. In Wadi Hadramaut, the local council regulated diesel distribution to farmers during the crisis through coupons. But since diesel quantities available were limited, farmers get small amounts, which were not enough. Farmers decreased number of operations hour by 45% in summer, also reduced the cultivated area and abandoned groups such as alfalfa, reduction in irrigation times for alfalfa by 90, 28, 32, 17% for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The reduction in diesel consumptions in Hadramaut, comparing with Zabid during summer, was 79 for Hadramaut and 76% in Zabid, while during autumn was 75% in Hadramaut and 78% in Wadi Zabid. Also, there were reductions in diesel consumptions by replacing it by kerosene mixed with burned engine oil. Farmers also used to use LNG, even used at risk of the engine damage. In Wadi Zabid, pump operation hours reduced by 40, 49, 51, and 45% for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. There were not any reduction on irrigation times for banana or mango. Ban of fodder cultivation. In general, the diesel consumption spring 2011 was less of spring 2010 by 80%. For the Damar and Rada, all groups failed due to the lack of diesel. Irrigated area decreased by 30 to 50%. Reserved diesel were used for irrigation of high-value crops. There were loss in productivity varied between 40 and 60%. Diesel increases doesn't affect not its area cubed or nor its production. Also, for the agricultural activities in Sana'a and Saada, the production of main fruits such as pomegranate, grapes, apple reduced by 50, 20, and 33%. The reduction in cut reduced by the production of cut reduced by 55% in spring, 30% in summer and autumn, and 40% in winter. Irrigation times for vegetables reduced from 30 to 20 times per season. Reduction in vegetables yield by 40%. Loss in income for some farmers was evaluated by 80%. In Bani Hushesh, farmers abandoned irrigation cut fields to sustain irrigation water requirements required for grapes farms. In Wadi Zabid, there were a reduction in fodder crops by 60%. Also, the less availability of fodder crops forced farmers to sell their own livestock at low prices. For vegetables groups, the reduction in production was 50% and cost increased in marketing prices by 25%. The impact of the diesel crisis of 2011 on groundwater. The groundwater depletion rate slowed down. The water table increased by 2.34, 6.14, and 0.66 meter in 3 observation wells between Jan 2010 and March 2011. In Damar, groundwater table depths in 2 wells decreased from 93 meter to 78 meter. In another well, groundwater table decreased from 86 to 76 meter during the same period, April 2011, December 2011. The price of water sold by tankers in Rada rose up from 1,200 to 2,500 riyal per tanker. There were variations of well water level in 2 wells in the Mar area in 2011. If we take the impact of diesel crisis 2011 on wholesale prices, there was a disturbance in the marketing process. Transport and marketing costs exceed the production cost by 4 times. As example, for Damar Rada, in Damar tomato most affected crops, the price for onion also increased 3 times. In Wadi Hadramout, decreased of market prices for red onion from 81 to 24, for lemons from 161 to 120 reals per kilo. But there is also increased in the transportation cost for the imported crops, like as tomatoes from 103 to 163, for potatoes coming from Damar from 90 to 112 reals per kilo. As it appears here in the above 2 figures for tomato and potato, there is a decreasing in the price of the potato. There is increasing in the price of the potato after the crisis of 2011, because the potato is imported to Hadramout from Damar. Also from outside Hadramout, tomato is imported. We can see how much the effect of the crisis on the price of tomato. while on the other side, the local crops of red onion and lemons had been the price of the local crops as red onion and lemons had been decreased during the crisis of 2011. In 2012, the new government decided to increase diesel price from 50 to 100 real per liter. The parliament refused to approve the governmental decision. The arguments of the government was that the diesel price subsidy is encouraging for the black marketing and smuggling. Also, big farmers are the most beneficiaries from current low diesel price. Diesel price after new policy will still less than that of black market. While on the other side, the parliament arguments were to that increasing of diesel price will negatively affect small farmers and its application will threaten food security and increase food prices. And the last point was controlling black market of diesel is the question of security, which could be applied by force, and that is a government responsibility. At last, the Parliament Committee approved the rising of the diesel price by 100% from 50 to 100 real per liter in 9 July 2012. For trying to helping the decision makers in Yemen on what concerned the subsidy of diesel, the Water and Environment Center held a meeting, discussion workshop about the diesel subsidies. As a result, recommendations. The first is diesel subsidy must be removed gradually, and budget of diesel subsidy should be oriented to support water users on reduce water use for irrigation by depending more on modern irrigation systems, increase crop water productivity by adopting effective sustainable agriculture techniques, encourage role of local community into better water resources management. Also from recommendations, number 3, any new cultivated area to be added must depend only over rain-fed irrigation, and increasing the role of local councils on regulating diesel distribution and ensuring arriving to small users, enforcement of the water law, and ban random well drilling, stopping diesel smuggling. And the last proposition is to use the smart card system to provide or allocate subsided diesel to different location in Yemen. Thank you.